And that is
Mary.
And we are here with Drunk Review for the first time. We're almost all together. So get started. Loud noises. So we are going to talk about If It Wasn't Obvious. And also, yes, I like touching my boobs. We're going to talk about Loki. Woo! But first, what are you drinking, Mary?
I decided to try the Truly teas. They're pretty good. I don't really like seltzers, but these are pretty good.
Nice. And what did you make us, Ronald?
That's called a Loki Gator Teeny.
Ooh, a Loki Gator Teeny. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And
as you said, it has some snap to it.
It's very delicious.
And it's exactly how he said it too.
Snap.
Snappy snapperton.
So, just like our WandaVision review, this is already going so well.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
But we're going to start with, there wasn't a lot of, we would usually do a good, the bad, the ugly for a show. But I don't know about you guys, but there wasn't really a lot of ugly for me in this show. There were a few things that I was like, could have been a little tighter, but there was never any point where I wasn't like on 100% on board.
Oh, the outfits of the police officers on the trains were atrocious, but I feel like they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was about like, that's the biggest nitpick I have about this show was that the fashion for those officers on the train was not cute.
What was that? It looked like it was like knitted wool or something.
I don't know. It was a lot. But I mean, like, if that's my biggest nitpick.
Come on, knit.
Yes, knit. So, one of the things, let's just talk about what we loved and what we talk about what we hope to see in next season and how this affects the MCU. Because when Kevin Feige said that this show was the key to the entire Phase 4, I was like, oh, okay. No, he was dead ass.
No. Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So let's talk about the cast. It's very rare that a show nails every single cast member. Because I'm going to be real with y'all. When I saw that Guga was in the show, there was a part of me that was like, yay, Guga. But there was also a part of me like, there are other Black actresses that we could have used, guys, that would have been good. But I take it all back. And it does help, as I said to you guys, I don't know if you knew this, but that Guga, Sophia, Tom, and Wunmi all went to school together.
That I did not know.
They all went to school together. So there's a scene, the very first scene of the show, where he's in the court and you see them giggling at him trying to use his powers. They had to go with that take because they kept cracking each other up in the takes. And so like finally Kate Herron was like, okay, we're just going to make it a part of the scene because you four idiots. And I'm like...
And it worked very well.
And it worked perfectly.
It was perfect.
So, what do you guys think? I'm going to throw it to you, Mary, first, because she's over there with just a pup.
Who's ignoring me now? I really liked, I had forgotten completely that Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston had worked together before in Midnight in Paris, and they still had that same really great chemistry. It was really nice to see them together again. I love Wunmi, so I was so hyped to hear about her being in this show because she's such an underrated, really good actress.
Yes, she is.
And I feel like she's finally getting her dues now that she's getting in bigger projects.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if more people from the cast of Lovecraft Country are going to join the MCU now?
Yes, I was noticing that too.
Ethan, give us more.
Give us this way, bring them all over. Yeah.
Well, I keep hearing that it's going to go to Apple and the season 2 is going to be on Apple, but if the two of them are going to have bigger roles in the MCU, I don't know.
And we'll talk about that one bigger role. Yeah.
So happy.
I felt so bad for people who didn't know and who were like free. Like I didn't know. we'll get into it because we'll get into it. So go ahead, Mary. Go ahead.
I was a little disappointed with Sylvie just because I was so convinced that Infinity War, when Loki disappears, we were all suspicious. He disappears for that minute or two. Yeah. We're like, oh, well, he's not really dead. He clearly made a clone of himself and escaped. That's what he does.
Which I love that they turned that into how old Loki survived. Because we all had
and old Loki was so great.
Yeah.
But like when they confirmed that he was actually dead and he did die, I thought, well, maybe he used that time to create Sylvie Lushton, and that's who this is.
Right.
But she's not. She's just a blend of Lady Loki and Sylvie Lushton and Amora all rolled into one. So it was creative how they did it, but I was like so disappointed because I was like, but Sylvie does join the Young Avengers and we know you're gearing up to that.
Yeah.
But Kid Loki.
Oh my God.
We know he's around.
So oh my God.
Get him.
So can we talk about how apparently Jack Veal, who plays Kid Loki, would follow Tom around the set all day long. Aww. And so like Tom apparently is very hyperactive. But apparently Tom loved it because Tom is hyperactive. Yeah. So like in between scenes, Tom would literally just run in place in between scenes. So Jack Veal started doing everything that Tom would do. He would do push-ups with Tom. He would do everything. So that scene in episode 5 where he gives Loki the sword, then he goes back to posing. It's because it is the cutest thing ever.
Adorable.
It's because he noticed that Tom does that. If you watch, every time Tom's not actually physically moving, he's standing like that. He doesn't even realize he's doing that, apparently. So they made it a part of the character. So Jack started doing that because Tom did it. And I was just like, this freaking kid, man. I am so in love with him already. I'm just there. Just everything about the extra Lokis was great. And that's the other thing. They could have cast just anybody, but every single one of them was just perfect for who they were. Both Loki was amazing. Apparently, we may be seeing all of them again because at least 3 of them we know survived. Yeah. So we know that President Loki, Boastful Loki, Kid Loki, and Crocky all survived. Alligator Loki. He's not a Crocky. He's an alligator.
Allioki.
Allioki. So we know he survived. So I am very interested to see what they do with those. I mean, like you cast these great actors. And I know Richard E. Grant was saying how he's known Tom since he was a teenager. And he didn't want to let Tom down. Yeah. So he was like, he knew how important this character was, both to the fans and to Tom. And he didn't want to let Tom down. And I'm like, honey, you're Richard E. Grant.
Right?
Like, what are you talking about?
Just the fact that he's here is amazing.
You're here. That's all we need. It would be like if Oprah showed up to one of our podcasts. That's all we need. We don't need you to do nothing else. We don't need you to do a damn thing else, okay? Just be here, right?
Your presence
is enough.
Would be amazing.
Right. So I am... What about you, Allie? Is there anything cast-wise?
Not particularly, no. And so with a lot of the MCU expanding right now, there's a lot more famous actors coming in. And so Owen Wilson being in it at first kind of put me at a pause, but I wound up loving him.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
But that's kind of like, so like with Angelina Jolie coming up, I'm so hesitant about seeing these big names in these films because I'm like, we already have so many heavy hitters. I'd rather they bring in some
more unknown,
younger blood into it. But I mean, Owen Wilson delivered, and the alligator stole it for me.
Yeah.
That made me very happy.
Well,
and he went chompy chomp
on President Loki. Well, and that goes to one of the things, the next thing I want to talk about, which is the Owen-Tom chemistry.
Yes.
Is insane. I think we can all agree that I was not now okay because I feel like the movie they did was a Woody Allen film, so I don't mess with that at all. Was it? So I didn't see that. I don't mess with Woody Allen films whatsoever. So I had not seen that. So I had no idea that they had worked together before. Like, none. But their chemistry is so intense from the first scene. And this was show, I'm like, is it me or is this the best work that Owen Wilson has done in literally years? Like, legitimately.
He wasn't the heel of everything. He wasn't
a goof.
Total goof the entire, like, he had some, like,
there was
sincerity behind it.
There was depth and layers, and there's still that dry wit was still there, but there was so many layers to this character. And that whole scene when he got pruned, you guys.
I had to put my drink down.
I'm still like upset. Like, even though I know the character is alive.
Yeah, no.
I'm not gonna cry again.
I also should.
Don't cry. He's okay.
I watch the shows by myself, and then that particular scene. Well, because I live with my cat. And she's not the most comforting thing in the world.
This is true.
Meanwhile, I make big noises, and she runs away. It's a whole thing. But no, it was. I mean, I wasn't sobbing, but I was like, what? I was like, I think everybody wanted him to be on the stew.
All I wanted was for Loki to be on the beach drinking Mai Tais while Mobius was running around on his jet ski. Oh my God, I just want my babies to be happy.
And you know what? They will with the alligators.
Well,
and they'll be all jet skiing together, and it's gonna be beautiful.
I'm like, God, when I heard Owen Wilson's cast, I was kind of like you with Angelina Jolie. I was like,
yeah.
I love them as actors, but Owen Wilson, let's be honest, Owen Wilson has coasted on being charming and a goofball for 20 years.
Yep.
For 20 years. He has not done anything different in his characterizations in the last 20 years, but between this and the movie that he did with Salma Hayek, I'm like, the most recent movie he did with Salma Hayek, which if you haven't seen it, I believe it's on Netflix, and it's very interesting where they are, again, variants of two people, and in one world, the world has been hit by nuclear war, and in the other world, it's paradise, and the variants switch places.
Oh,
yeah. So
reality check. Also,
yeah.
Like an economist, please.
Yeah. So it's between that movie and this one and this series. I'm like, holy shit! I forgot Owen Wilson could act. I'm not trying to be an asshole about it.
No,
but
you're
I
right.
really did forget that Owen Wilson could actually act.
Because he's played the same role
over and over and over. And he's always enjoyable. Like, I love him in One Night in the Museum and in the Zoolander movies. But
Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, he does the same thing.
I do love Zoolander.
I love Zoolander so much.
Second one, not so much.
Yeah.
It exists.
Sorry.
But
it's that variant.
What about you guys? Was there anybody who surprised you? Who were you expecting what you got from everyone? Gosh, I'm not.
Yeah, you are, girl.
I was in the physical temperature away, but I'll take it. There's so many lights on us, you guys. You're not.
There's so much lighting because I have no pigment.
And I'm so dark. You gotta balance that bitch out.
It's been a while since we've been on camera. And there's also
in the same place.
Yeah,
in the same place.
Alcohol and camera.
Yes.
And lighting.
So Mary, and is there anybody, and God, I wish you were here. Anybody that you, because we would be freaking.
You would have balanced us out because you're no pigment person either.
I could have been the Oreo, like a reverse Oreo.
It would have been a whoops Oreo.
Anyway,
poor Ron.
Yeah, he's making that face.
These martinis are delicious.
They're fantastic. I love you. So, Mary, is there anyone that you were either surprised by or you were just absolutely blown away by?
I mean, I was like you guys, I was surprised when it was first announced and hearing that Owen Wilson was going to be on it, because like everything you said, I was just like, this is not something I would see him doing. And with actors like Angelina Jolie and Selma Hayek, all these big name actors joining later projects, I was getting a little wary, but he sold it. He's Mobius. He did a phenomenal job. I was surprised by Gugu as well, just because I do like her, and it was very different to see her in a role that was like this. Because Ravonna is very different from anything else she's done. Same with Romney as B-52. Not B-52, B-15.
The Love Shack is a little low place where we can get together. Love Shack, baby. Love Shack, baby.
I'm sorry, Ron.
Sorry.
I am not editing this out.
I mean, is it a drunk podcast if there isn't a song?
No.
That's true. But no, I was surprised because for them, the characters of Ravonna and B-15 are so different from anything else I've seen them in.
Yes.
And I had not seen Sophie in anything before. This is my first experience with her, but I
really
out with her. Yeah, this is the first thing I've ever seen her in, and I enjoyed every bit of her performance.
Yeah.
And Jonathan was so good. He was so different and crazy, and like he was scary,
crying and upset. You were sad for him, while at the same time being like, that motherfucker he's
terrifying.
Yeah.
He played it like he was. I mean, it's so sad because he's been alone for so long and we don't know exactly how long he's been doing this. So he's clearly insane. So he's kind of funny, but he's terrifying. He is just quietly terrifying, and he knocked it out of the park.
This show,
I'll see you soon.
That girl, what did I post on Facebook? The two most terrifying phrases in the entirety of the MCU have become, hey y'all, and I'll see you soon.
Oh my God, minutes.
Okay, can we talk about Tara Strong? I don't think voice actors get and somebody who does it, I don't think voice actors get the credit that they deserve. Voiceover work is hard, you guys. It's literally the last piece I did, the one for Two Strikes, This Crown Is Mine, which go check it out, Two Strikes Theater. This Crown Is Mine. Talked about the Crown Act. The voiceover work, just syncing the voice work to the image on film alone. And remember, I did that myself.
Yeah.
Was hard. Getting the inflections for each piece was hard. Now imagine doing that for 6 episodes.
I can barely Facebook Live.
Is what I'm saying. Tara Strong does not get credit. She makes Miss Minutes so damn sincere yet sinister at the same time. And I noticed somebody had pointed this out. I can't remember who, and I'm sorry if I'm not giving you credit. That she was also a part of manipulating Loki, because remember when they were having in the second episode, she was telling him, if this happens, it'll collapse all reality as we know it. Mm-hmm. So she planted that seed all the way back in episode 2, because who is she working for? He Who Remains.
That was definitely, as soon as she said, I was like, that's a Chekhov's gun.
Yup.
Come up later.
Yup. And the show did such a good, there were so many. As somebody who has followed Loki's journey from Walter Simonson Loki to current Loki the Fourth, which if you're not reading the comic books, I would strongly suggest, and I think I'm going to put it in a list at the bottom of this podcast, which books to read.
Please do.
But yeah, if you haven't read the most recent Journey in the Mystery, you need to read Siege, and I'm going to say them now so I remember when I'm editing. Siege first, Journey in the Mystery, then Young Avengers, Loki, Agent of Asgard, Vote Loki, and now Thor and Loki, Double Trouble. which is the most recent one. Oh, and Thor and Loki, the 10th Realm.
Like Double Night Gone.
Well, it's them dealing with their alternate selves, which I thought was very interesting for the 2021 book. The most recent book is them dealing with their alternates. And it's the cutest thing you guys will ever see. And I'm going to post photos of it because now that I've mentioned it, these screen caps from it is so adorable. It's so cute. So said all that to say, I followed this character's journey from literally the Simonson run to now. The way they have done that journey in 6 episodes, a journey that's taken in the most recent run of the comics 10 years, is just outstanding to me. It's absolutely outstanding. And I appreciate the thought that went into it. What about you guys?
So,
Keep drinking.
yeah, just keep drinking. Repeat the question.
How do you like the journey that the character's gone on? Drunky.
Edit.
No!
Don't edit that out. Leave it.
There's no editing. No.
So the journey for Loki in the MCU has been lovely. The relationship between his brother, for one, seeing how that has unfolded and the respect that they have for each other. I think Loki grew a lot in this show to begin with. Just the simple fact that he saw what his actions did, killed his own mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
And we're going to get into that in the next section. Yeah.
Watching his reaction to that and watching himself die. I mean, how can you not learn and grow from just seeing that?
Yeah.
But even before this, I mean, he's mischievous, kind of a little prick.
That's what I love about him.
I love that about him, though.
Like, and seeing all the different variants of himself, but it's also all the different personalities of himself.
Yes. I thought that was very interesting and very well done.
And it's Tom Hiddleston is like, they couldn't have cast a better person.
Right.
Like
Tom Hiddleston is just like Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
exactly.
Yes.
He is.
They have found just
Like they could have
his
cast.
facial expressions is
He doesn't have to say anything.
exactly.
Yes.
Know what
He's that good.
Yes, he's that good.
So, because oh my God, how many years have we been watching this man in this role? And when he died,
Girl,
and
I
it's so-
sobbed.
I was like, this is just the beginning.
Man, first 5 minutes of Infinity War, when I tell you, and Ron will testify to that, I screamed in the theater, and then I burst into tears. I was like, no!
And
After everything he had been through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
And again, at that point, I had already grown so much.
yeah.
And I obviously, yes, back when he had, the Infinity Stone.
The Mind Stone.
Mind Stone.
Oh, no, he had the Space Stone and the Mind Stone.
And the Mind Stone, yeah. So he still had a lot of growth to do. And I feel like in watching his mother pass away, him being killed, it was like compact so much growth in like that
One episode.
like moment.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, now he's caught up of who he is, and then he just kept going
Yeah.
to the fact where he now actually has a friend, and he loves
Various friends.
himself
Yes.
now, which we all need to love ourselves a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But oh my God, that got real deep. I'm sorry.
What if, don't apologize.
Martini is delicious.
It's Loki.
You're fine. That's what we do.
That's what we do. We get drunk and we talk about shit.
Yes.
All right.
We drink in those sort of things.
Exactly. Mary, thoughts before we move on to
So, just to kind of add on to what Allie said, what I really loved and what I thought was so smart was that across the MCU, we've seen Loki's journey, and we saw him at the end of Ragnarok and at the beginning of Infinity War. he'd kind of come full circle. Like in Thor 1, his whole thing was like, I never wanted the throne. I just wanted to be your equal. He was ostracized by the Asgardians.
Yep.
His father, his brother, his supposed friends with the Warriors 3 and Sif, his entire life.
They were never his friends. Let's be real.
They were never his friends. They were Thor's friends, and he was just kind of like the tag along. So he'd been ostracized his whole life, and his only real friend was Frigga. And then for him to, at the end, before he dies in Infinity War, to have Thor actually be his brother and his friend and to have peace with him.
And of all people,
the Asgardians.
And the Hulk of all people.
And the Hulk of all people.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And then I thought it was so smart to take a Loki who still has all of that anger and resentment towards Thor and Asgardians and everyone and his father, and put him in this place where he could see how his life was supposed to play out. And he sees that he makes peace with Odin, and Odin says that you are my son and I love you, and he does have to see his mother die, and it's a direct result of his actions unknowingly. And he sees that him and Thor actually are brothers. That was such a smart place to pluck him out from when he has all of that resentment and make him go through basically a hero's journey.
We're going to get into more of what we love in the writing in the next section, but that to me was the fact that they picked this particular Loki was very smart, and it allows for so many possibilities. And we're going to talk about how that's going to affect everything going forward, because we're going to come back. We need to get a refill.
We need refill.
All right, y'all. This is part 1 of our review of Loki. Stay tuned. Part 2 will be up very soon. We love you. This is Belle with Pop Culture Uncovered. You can find us at PC Uncovered on Twitter and Instagram, popcultureuncovered.com, and Pop Culture Uncovered on Tumblr, Facebook, and what, Allie?
All the virtual reality sites.
All the virtual reality sites from Pop Culture Uncovered, where get vaccinated. Wear your mask. We love you.